Hello everybody. I'm putting together a monkey, an orangutan, for my stepdaughter for her birthday. She doesn't know that she's getting it. I'm not quite sure that what her response will be, but I just think that they're so cute. And I love this little guy because he can take a preemie pacifier with pretty much no magnet, and the little bottles fit right in his mouth, which is just so cute. So I'm not even going to have to put a magnet in there. But primary reason for this video is to show how I do my weighting with all my babies. I really haven't had a reborn baby that I haven't taken apart and re-weighted, and it's not because I do it right and nobody else does. I don't want to get that across. I want to put a disclaimer on right now that says this is just the way I do it. I found that it works best. I like particularly heavier babies, not very fluffy, but a little bit more weight, probably because all of my children were very large babies. My middle child, Emily, was 10 pounds at birth, so I'm used to the heavier babies, and I don't like a lot of fluff. So what I do is I use poly pellets in the body, and I use the pulverized glass crystals in the limbs. But the thing is that when you put this pulverized glass and you just put it right in down the bottom, if you squish the hand, it feels like you're squishing sand. So I want to make it more realistic feeling. So on this little orangutan, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than with a regular baby, just because the hole is so small. But what I usually do is I usually use, whoops, don't spill, nothing is worse than spilling poly pellets all over the floor. What I usually do is I usually put stuffing in, and I cram it down with something like this, or with this thinner thing. I'm gonna have to probably go like that. So I just take some polyfill, and I'm gonna cram it in there. It takes a little bit to get it so that you're not just pushing straight through it. Oh my goodness. See, maybe this is where this is going to come in handy. You just have to, yep, there we go. See, just one little, if you just get it in enough of a ball, it's going to push down. And then you just, what I do, and I know that this arm is bent, but it is vinyl, and it is made to move a little. So I can cram this, like the end of the stick is right here, so I can cram it down pretty far. And I'm just going to do that in all of his limbs to get that soft feel on the hands, because I don't want it to feel like, I want it to feel more like stuffing than like sand or glass. Because I don't know how you guys feel, but when I'm holding my baby's hand, I pinch it a little. I always, it's like pinching the baby fat, And, oops, sometimes if you use too much of this, it's harder to get it down there. Well, anyway. Bear with me, folks. This is the first time I've tried to do this type of thing on video. mean, I think you get the point. I'm gonna have to work on this a little off camera and come back. But again, what I try to do is I'm gonna try and get the stuffing in all of the lower limbs. You know, down here in the hands, down here in the feet. I usually fill them with stuffed polyfill all the way up to the knees. Even if this was a baby, I would do stuffed polyfill packed pretty tightly all the way up to the knees. And then what I do is I will take the glass and I fill it from here to about here with the glass, because you're looking for weight, but a baby's limbs or a monkey's limbs aren't heavy down in the lower extremities. They're heavy where the fat is, which is usually around the thighs or around the upper arms. At least that's the way I feel. So this hand, once I get this packed in here, probably fill it to here, and then like right here will be the glass weight, because the glass weight, that stuff is really heavy. This bag right here, I took this all out of one baby. I have another bag that's full up to here of this stuff, just because I find that baby limbs, if they're filled from the hand all the way up to the end with this glass, this stuff is so heavy. It just weights the baby down, and it's my personal preference that the limbs aren't as heavy as the body. So I get a really good feel with the stuffing here, and so I can hold his hand and kind of stroke his hand, and it feels real. And then up here, going towards the body, is where I'm going to put all my weight. In the body itself, I like to have mostly poly pellets. Now there's different stuffing. There's different stuffing too. You can get this. This is the cheaper polyfill that I usually get for stuffed animals. Anything I'm trying to pack tight is this kind of polyfill. See how it's got kind of like these little balls and a lot of fluff in between? And then this is the other kind of polyfill. It's very, it feels like batting on a quilt, where this feels silky, and you know, it doesn't bunch together unless you make it bunch together. This stuff is just very compact and very flat, and it's able to make a layer. Now what I'm going to do with my monkey is I'm going to put poly pellets in a stocking. And here, I'll just kind of halfway do it and show you what I'm talking about. It's a lot easier than describing it. Now this particular, this is a canning funnel, and I do a lot of gardening and canning, and this thing, I couldn't survive without this. I couldn't fill these, because nothing is worse than pouring poly pellets all across your kitchen floor. I've done it. I hate it. It's wasteful, and I cut the smallest tip off of the bag, and I just fill them very carefully. I just don't want to drop these things. You'll find them years later if you spill them. It's just really bad. Now see, this is going to fill up, and it's going to get long, and then I'm going to push it down and make some more space. So a lot of poly pellets can go into a stocking, and when you get a lot of them in there, you can mold it into a shape, and that's what I'm going for here. I'll put the rest of these in here, because I have a feeling I'm going to use the rest of these in this monkey, because this is just a 2-pound bag, and The thing about poly pellets is that it spreads the weight out. Like each individual pellet is not all that heavy, but when you put them all together, that's what makes them heavy. And with the sand, I just think it's a smaller granule, and the smaller the granule, the heavier the overall bulk is going to be. I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone. I don't know if I'm talking, you know, crazy here, but what I'm going to do now, usually when I do this I would have all the limbs on there, but I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about for now. I'm just going to kind of, what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to try and make this kind of a bell-shaped, kind of a pear, because you figure that a baby's weight is all in their bum and their belly. So you kind of want to make it the shape of a baby. What I would do is I would put this in. Sometimes you gotta squish it out and get it out of the shape that you wanted to get it in the neck hole. But it's easy enough, it'll go back. So what I would have here is most of that weight is down here in the bum. And you know, this is a little pouch here that, you know, all of the baby bellies have that. And I would put this fluff, because this fluff is flatter and it's more, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't have a lot of bumps in it. It's, like I said, it's like batting. Whereas this would, you can feel all the little balls in it, and it doesn't feel very, I don't know, when you ball this up, you can feel it is stuffing. When you ball this up, it kind of just molds to your hand. So what I would do then is I would put this flat piece of stuffing around the back of the monkey. So when I put my hand on his bum, I'm not going to feel the poly pellets, I'm going to feel the stuffing, and it's going to feel like his back, and there's just like heavy inside of it. Now for this monkey, I got one of these, which is you can get these at the craft store. They're, you know, bra inserts basically, but they just feel, because they're silicone gel, they feel really good, and they feel like, well, like skin. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this down into that little belly space, because I believe it will fit very nicely in that space. And it just feels like a belly. Now this is a pretty solid monkey. I mean, I'm not done with him by any means, and I'm not putting him together right now. I might take some pellets out and rework it so that this belly plate goes in a little bit better, because these silicone inserts are just so nice in the belly. Now see, that feels like a baby belly. That silicone insert there, that just makes it feel like a baby belly, and you can stroke it, and it just feels solid and good. It doesn't feel like pellets, because I mean, if you feel that, you're going to feel little pellets, and you don't want to feel that. So I'm going to put stuffing up on the back, and then I would fill all this in to put the head on, you know, so that there's enough of a neck to hold that up. But that's pretty much, and I like to stuff the shoulders pretty solid, because I like the clothes to be filled out. This monkey has full legs, so that'll be pretty simple down there. But the only other weighting I would do is I would give this monkey a little bit of brains. Now what I do is I just fill the stocking up and I make it very tight so that there's a ball of, again, the poly pellets, because they aren't as heavy as a little ball of the glass. And I just like to have a little bit of weight. I want to make it big enough. For this monkey, it would probably be this big, and I'll show it to you when I in the next section when I get most of this set up. Just so that in the center of the head, because polyfill is heavier than you think it is. If I stuffed this monkey's head with polyfill, it's gonna have some weight to it, but it's not gonna be enough. But if I fill it with poly pellets, or if I fill it with glass, it's gonna be like a rock. So I want to give them just a little bit of a brain right in the middle, just so that when I hold it in my hand, it just feels like I have to support it. Right now it doesn't feel like anything, and I don't want to feel like I have to pick it up, but I want to feel like I have to support it. So I'm going to go ahead and prep all that and do this video in sections, because I'm obviously not going to be able to stuff everything. You'd be here forever, because it's going to take me a little while to get the stuffing down into the limbs. But you'll see what I mean, and I'll let you, once I get that done, I'll come back and do the glass and the polyfill at the top, because you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just the slightest amount, and you know, I just think it feels really good. Again, this is my way of doing it. It's I've made a couple of babies myself. I have 5 reborns, and I've reweighted all of them just because. Again, it's a very, very personal thing. It's what feels good in your arms, what feels good against, you know, your chest when you're holding the baby. It really, it's a very, very personal thing. And I'm not saying that my way is the way to do it. I'm just offering up the way that I do it as a guide, so that, you know, it's just, I've gotten dolls that are filled with the glass granules down to the end, and it just doesn't feel natural. And I just wanted to put it out there and see what everybody thinks. So I'm going to go ahead and call this round 1 of this video tutorial, I guess you can call it. And hopefully you'll go on and see part 2 and see how I did it. So I'll see you there.